Hello, welcome to another full book review from Open Book Outdoors. My name is Keith. You may be here from TikTok, you may be here from Instagram or some other social media site. Who knows with the ever-changing way social media is going. But today we're going to be talking about, maybe you can see that, The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells. This is the third H.G. Wells book that I have read. I know I've read The Invisible Man and I've read The War of the Worlds. This definitely is not my favorite H.G. Wells, but I do like his writing style. He has this way of writing a character or a story where the climax is like some old dude explaining some crazy thing he did, and especially on The Invisible Man and in this one. So I really like that vibe, as well as I like the way he writes. Trigger warning for this book. It was written, in the 1800s. There are some definitely very extremely dated points of view about the races of people, as well as some very dated language. So if you're going to read the book, I would say, think about that, but not anything for this review. I'm going to tell you what happens in the book anyway. So in this book, the summary, a man named Prendick, last name Prendick, is on a boat. He gets shipwrecked. He gets saved. Hello, it's my doggy. He gets saved by a man named Montgomery, who has an attendant, a servant, someone who helps him out, who looks, who has very dark skin, is very hairy, has very odd features. And this confuses our main character, Prendick. Eventually, the captain of the boat wants them off. So the captain of the boat gets rid of Montgomery, and his attendant, the strange, dark-faced, weird-looking man, gets them off the boat, gets Prendick off the boat. This is actually where Montgomery is trying to stop. He is transporting a puma, as well as a few other animals. So he gets off, heads towards this deserted island, or so it looks, and then they get rid of Prendick to go off by himself in a different lifeboat. He is weeping at the fact that he will die on the ocean, and when Montgomery takes pity on him and brings him to the island. He learns very quickly that on this island lives a doctor named Dr. Moreau. He is explained to him several times that he is an uninvited guest to this island. And he's told not to look at a few things, not to go behind this certain door, etc., etc. Well, of course, he peeks behind the door. He goes exploring on the island, and he explores his memory, where he remembers the newspaper clipping or something about a Dr. Moreau who was outed from the scientific community for doing strange experiments on animals. And he realizes this must be the same Dr. Moreau, because as he explores the island and checks the places that he's not supposed to check, he discovers that the men on this island are actually weird animal-human amalgams. They look like animal or men that were turned into animals. And so he begins to think, oh no, they're going to do this to me. Dr. Moreau is going to experiment on me and turn me into an animal man. And so he runs around. He tries to escape Dr. Moreau. They hunt him down. He ends up finding this community of animal people. He is told the law of the animal people. And they have this special law where essentially they keep each other accountable for not acting like animals. They must act like men. They're not allowed to walk on all fours. They're not allowed to slurp water out of a stream. They're not allowed to eat blood or meat. And, he finds his community, but eventually Dr. Moreau finds him, Montgomery finds him, and they get him at gunpoint to come back to their little hut area. Well, the twist is that while we've been thinking that these are animals or humans that have been made into animals, Dr. Moreau explains, listen, we are trying to keep you from hurting yourself. We're trying to keep you from going too far onto the island. We're not going to harm you. These men were never men. They were animals that I used surgery and vivisection to turn into men. They were never humans to begin with. I turned them into humans. I gave them the humanity that you now see that they have. And so this makes Prendick feel a little bit better, but not a whole lot better. It's still super weird. But the puma, the Puma was supposed that Montgomery was transporting. The Puma was supposed to be his, his piece de resistance, his finally being able to create a human out of an animal and have it stay that way. The problem has been that every human he creates eventually reverts back to its animalian tactics, its animalian instincts, and he's trying to get one to stay human. Well, the Puma is supposed to be it, but the Puma gets loose, the Puma Man, and he runs around and is wreaking havoc on the island. And if I'm not mistaken, he turns a lot of the animal people against Dr. Moreau. Long story short, Dr. Moreau is murdered by the animals. He is seen as their god, and eventually, of course, the Emperor has no clothes. He's actually just a man. He's not their god, and he's dead. Montgomery and Prendick survive for a while. Eventually, Montgomery meets his demise, and Prendick lives on the island for several months until eventually he sees a boat pass by, which actually contains a bunch of dead guys on it, but he takes that boat and he's able to get to safety. So that's a very brief summary of the Island of Dr. Moreau. Some good things about this book. It is very tense at times. I enjoyed the mystery that is involved in the book. I enjoyed the twist where at first you think, this guy's making people out of men, and then it turns out, no, this guy's making men out of people, and that's pretty cool. I like the way it's written. I like the language of the older English language, of course, sans the rude ways we refer to groups of people. I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed that kind of book. So far, all of H.G. Wells' books that I've read have been very short. I did listen to this one via audiobook. It was about 4 hours long. I think The Invisible Man is about the same. War of the Worlds was also a very short novel. So it's very quick. In and out. What's going on this island? Let's figure it out. Let's have a story. Let's hit a climax, and let's get out of here. So I really did enjoy that as well. Not my favorite H.G. Wells by any stretch. I would say so far my favorites have been in the order that I've read them in. My favorite being The Invisible Man. Love that book. Highly recommend you read it. Different than Invisible Man by, I don't remember who wrote that one, but very different. That's more of a society deal. But yeah, I really enjoyed the book. It was good. I rated it 3 stars out of 5 on Goodreads because the bad things about it, I didn't really care for. I'm a modern man. I consider all men created equally, so I don't care for points of view necessarily that are contrary to that, but it's not the author's point of view. It's certainly the character's point of view. May have been the author's point of view, but it's definitely the character's point of view that kind of comes through, but you can't really be too mad at that, being that that was the time it was written. I guess having seen all that I've seen in movies and modern stories where there's just a little more going on than what's provided in this book, I imagine whenever it was written, it was spooky to the 10th degree and super weird, but, on any given Tuesday, dudes making people out of animals is probably the least crazy thing you'll see on the internet. So, I don't know, it wasn't super enthralling. It didn't suck me in so much that I couldn't put it down or couldn't stop listening. It was just a good book, an entertaining book. I recommend you read it, but I don't recommend it as something that's going to change your life. So that is The Island of Dr. Moreau. Very, very short review. Arguably, I would say a bad one. I don't have a whole lot to say about this book, but here is a video review of it on YouTube. Let me know what you think, and let me know how I can change these videos and make them better for you. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.